Notts County Talk. We are live for episode 35 of the Pavis Perspective podcast, powered by Better Bytes Computers. As always, you can check the website out for Better Bytes in the description below. Really good computer shop based in Nottingham. We are a lot earlier than usual, aren't we, George, today on our Sunday?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because I'm going to see Sam Fender tonight at the Motor Point.
Lucky to get
Yes.
tickets for that, aren't you?
I was, very last minute. And for a reasonable price. I was looking at getting some later on last year, like in December time, and surprise my partner for Christmas, but they were like nearly 200 quid a ticket. And the ones I got ended up only being like 34 each. So
Smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. Right, do you want to run us through today's question then? Because it's quite a controversial one with what we've chosen.
Yeah, so it's obviously a bread question. It's a difficult one. Best type of bread. Is it naan bread, tiger bread, banana bread, or French stick? Now, there is an argument in there. Is banana bread really bread or is it a cake?
But it's in the name, so I've gone for it. That's where the controversy comes from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chris, good to have you with us again, as always. I know it's not the evening this time, but needs must for George. So yesterday, George, we get the win, don't we? Dagenham Road Bridge, always a tough place to play. They've got some good, tricky players, some quick players. And we've gone behind. At that point, obviously, we didn't make the game. We're listening to it on the radio. At that point, we've gone behind. What were your initial thoughts? Because it seemed like a pretty easy goal that we conceded. Pretty simple, straightforward. 6-7 minutes on the clock. Did you feel the worst, or were you genuinely? How were you feeling when that went in?
I was super frustrated because we started well. We did start really well. We had the more of the chances in the first half, I think. So I was disappointed, and you sort of think when we concede, then if we got the bottle and I don't know, just that bite to sort of bring it back and for a draw, never mind a win. But obviously, fair play to them for bringing it back and getting 3 points from a game like that, because they're a tricky place to go, good side, and they're in good form at the minute. So it's a really, really good result for Notts, I think.
Yeah, I think coming back from behind is the important thing, because we don't. I'm trying to think when the last time we actually came from behind to win a game was. It's probably going to be not that long ago, and I'm probably going to look stupid on this, but looking back at the results, obviously it didn't happen in the previous 5 because we haven't won a game there. We've lost a lot of leads from being in front, so it's the other way around sort of thing. I'm trying to think. It's a very long time ago, by my reckoning, possibly Kings Lynn on the 11th of January that we last came from behind to get a victory. To do that as well, a very decent side. Was very good. Charlie says, previous to the game yesterday, Dagenham kept 3 clean sheets in a row. Yeah, it was mentioned on the radio. It's sort of 270 minutes since last conceding at home, and Notts have gone and got 2. Obviously, Charlie Slater's not been at the last 2 games, and we've had I forget his name, the Mansfield guy, sort of come in and commentate, and he's been pretty good. I think, to be fair, he's been good paired with Mark Stallard.
Yeah.
Obviously, not the same as having Charlie Slater there. And Lacey scores, and I heard him say, "You wouldn't believe it's Alex Lacey." Now, obviously, he's not usually Notts commentator, but at the minute, you would believe it's Alex Lacey, wouldn't you, from corners? It's reminded me of Mark Ellis, and we had this discussion the other day. It reminds me of Mark Ellis.
Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he? I can't see why we wouldn't stick him up top, to be honest. Scoring more freely than our strikers in it at the minute.
Well, especially away from home.
Yeah.
Away from home, definitely scoring more freely. So Alex Lacey at the minute from corners just breeds confidence. And if we can be dangerous from set pieces, then that's really good for me. I want to go on to the point though I've just brought up, is the strikers not scoring. It's not a negative, because from what I've heard from people I spoke to, Carl Wotton played really well yesterday. If we're getting wins like that and Carl Wotton's not scoring, does it bother you?
Not really, because essentially the aim of the game is to win, isn't it? Obviously. I mean, I think it is important for your strikers to score, but if we're winning the games without our strikers scoring, then so be it. You know what I mean? I'm not really too fussed about how we win games as long as we win them.
Yeah, and Kyra Mitchell started as well, didn't he? I'm glad of that. You've got a soft spot for him, I think.
Yeah, no, it's so difficult for him, isn't it? Because he doesn't get loads of game time, does he? He's not getting many starts. He's coming off the bench here and there, and he had a few games in the trophy, didn't he? But other than that, he's not had loads of time to play, and it's difficult to edge into a team like this because you got Eli and Alex firing, Wotton, obviously he's the vice captain. He's undroppable, isn't he? Essentially, and then you've got Ruben, Cal, all in those attacking areas. So it's difficult for him to even get on the pitch. And I mean, I'm not too sure why Cal and Ruben weren't there. I'd assume it's got to be that illness that was going around the squad. But two massive players for Notts missing, and that's something that I didn't really talk about. Two massive players for Notts missing, and we've still won. So it's impressive,
And it shows that we can change formation as well, going a straight 5-3-2. Well, Charlie, we'll get into that in a second about Brunley, but I think if they've got an illness, obviously it's not good for them to have the illness and to recover, but at the same time, you've got to take the positive of, like you said, we've won a game without those two players, and yes, they're ill, and it's going to take it out of them, but it's a rest for both those players, because the last time both of those players didn't play in a game, I think, was Wrexham. So either one of those has played, at some point in a game coming up. I mean, there was one point where Ruben was playing in sort of FA Trophy games earlier on in the season, and I was thinking, surely he's got to have a rest. But Cal on Tuesday against Stockport looked absolutely shattered, didn't he? I thought Ruben looked had a bit more energy. Cal didn't really have any impact on the game. And I thought to myself at that point, is he carrying something? Or, as we later found out, was he one of the players that was ill? So to win and for them to rest ahead of the two games we've got and get the victory, you can't really get much better than that, can you?
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
Two players I've got to talk about then. The first we'll obviously go on to is Harry Arter. Now, obviously, we weren't at the game. We listened to the game. We spoke to people that were at the game. Gave us a lot of insight into how it went. The guy, though he has match sharpness, if you look at a scale of 1 to 10, his match sharpness must be 2 or 3.
Mm.
He's not played any football since January. And no matter how much you do on the training ground, even if it's training games, you don't get the match sharpness.
Mm. The only thing I'd say on the match sharpness, though, I know he's been playing with the 23s, and I know it's not the same as
that's what I mean. It's not
pure men's football, but he has been playing quite a lot of 23s football, and I know that.
It is. I just don't think the intensity can ever be matched. Not even close. But
I agree.
But on that point, let's say 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10 match sharpness at the best of times. He's come in and we've been told he's one of the best players on the pitch at that point. And he was picking up passes. He got the assist for Lacey's goal.
Yeah.
And he's still nowhere near match sharpness. We've got to ring him off at 60 minutes, which means he doesn't have that extra 30 in his tank for Tuesday night. What he could be for us this season is frightening. And people have mentioned David Vaughan before, and we mentioned that on Friday nights. But genuinely, I think if we get in the playoffs, he could be a difference. Definitely.
Yeah, big time.
I think from what I heard as well, Vincent played very, very well, didn't he? Do you think there's an element, because this is what I immediately thought. I've been listening for sort of 5, 10, 15 minutes, and it was all Vincent was making runs, Vincent on the wing, Vincent break through the middle. Do you think having someone like Arter on the side, especially for Vincent, what do you think that does for him?
Masses, absolute huge amounts, because it just gives you that confidence to think he's behind me. So I think it gives him that confidence that there's like Harry Arter's behind him or alongside him. And I think Vince is one of those players that he likes to play those 1-2s and run onto balls. And I feel like Arter would be one of those players that understands that. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like he'd link up really well with a player like that. And obviously he's a midfielder himself, so he's going to be able to help Vincent develop and all those sorts of things. So I think, it's amazing for someone like Vincent. And I said it yesterday in the video, I love that trio in midfield. That's a great midfield, that is.
Yeah. Where's Vincent from again? It's not Harrogate, was it?
Bournemouth, wasn't it?
He was somewhere on loan last season, wasn't he?
I know he went to Barnet for a little while, didn't he? Where was it?
I think it was a League 2 side anyway. Vincent could be ending the season in a midfield 3 with Matty Palmer and Harry Arter.
Yeah.
That's a better midfield 3 than he'll ever have played in. Part of me now thinks, Harrogate, Curtis says, part of me now thinks that midfield 3 can't change, because I would never drop Palmer.
It was Walsall.
Was it Walsall as well?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't drop Palmer. How at this point, I know he's played one game, but we know what the quality he's got. Unless it goes drastically wrong, how can you drop Harry Arter? And how can you drop the only player that we have that breaks the line? No one else breaks the line like that. Like we heard about it yesterday. Do you know, Jim O'Brien was the only player that used to break the line, and he used to never get the ball. But Vincent has that quality to do it. I don't know how you can break. I don't know how you can drop any of those players, personally, because you know you got to Tuesday night and everyone's fit. You'd be gobsmacked if any of those three aren't starting on the pitch.
Mm.
It's a nice problem to have, but it's also
Very nice.
one where we're at a point now where we don't want to have too many fantastic players not playing. Eli Sam can't really leave him, Cal or Ruben out. You know, you're going to have to though. So it's interesting. I see a few people in the chat asking about different formations, how we fit players in as well. It is really interesting. It is really, really interesting. The other player I want to look at before I talk about Richard Brindley is Yaros. Do you think we're finally seeing the best of what Yaros is and what we were sort of not promised, but what we knew about him when he came?
I think so. Yeah, it's almost like it's clicked, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, in a time where the squad would be low on confidence as well, I think that shows massive character from him to sort of shine through and have belief in himself and his ability. You know, because there was fans were getting on his back a little bit as well. You know, so for him to pull through like that and be putting on the performances now, credit to him. Deserves the call up as well to the under-21s.
Yeah, I mean, massive. You didn't see Chesterfield, obviously. Massive game there. Massive game. Sort of a blip against Yeovil. Wasn't really at fault for the goal, but he could have done a bit better for that. He could have gone back to his goal with that sort of experience. But then Stockport, I mean, if anyone in the chat didn't go to Stockport, when we're saying it's a 10 out of 10 performance from a keeper that's conceded 3 goals, that's probably still doing him injustice. Like some of his saves, do you remember the header in the first half, point blank header? And it's one of those saves where it's coming at you, but it's not towards your body. So you have to drop your whole body to get your hand across. It was a fantastic save. Very, very good. Chris says Yaros coming good than out on international duty, which is typical. Yeah, but I think at this point we've just got to think it breeds confidence. The same with Palmer getting his call up. It's just confidence, isn't it? So it's a positive for them, and I'd like to think they take it, you know, as something really good, and it gives them that confidence. But Yaros now, one more game. You know, it's that thing. He's had 2 good games, one more game, and I think you're looking at that's him. That's his performances now for the rest of the season. I think 3 games takes it out of a little rise in form. 3 games, you're looking at consistency. We'll have a look then. Max says, where do you think this leaves Brunt? I personally think that's Brunt done at Notts. Personally, I can't see him starting a game again.
No, I can't unless there's another illness problem. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's good problems to have, and there's so many players to sort of fit in and formations. Do you go 4? Do you go 5? I can't really see where he comes in, to be honest. I don't want to jump the gun because it's been one game with that midfield trio, but I just feel like that when that midfield trio, if they're all playing well and they're all, you know, just firing and understanding each other's game, I don't see how from the players that we have it can be improved.
No, I don't. And if you're going to play him further forward, you're then looking at, are you not going to have Ruben on the pitch for that Brunt? And you wouldn't choose that, would you? I think it's not quite worked out as we thought. I mean, I'd like to be proven wrong. We've been proven wrong a fair few times. I've been proven wrong with Yaros. I've been proven wrong with Eli Sam this season. You know, I'd like to be proven wrong, but I just can't see him putting in or getting enough game time to work his way into the squad. He's obviously a talented player, but at this time, you know, you're playing in that midfield. I know it's not the same position, but Harry Arter's been brought in your place. You've got to be pretty phenomenal to get back in that. Charlie says, have we heard the news on Brindley? Yes. What can we say?
He must be so frustrated. He just seems to be getting injury after injury, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed that they go for the scan and it's not a break. But I mean, I think he probably knows it is if he's suspecting it's that. Gutted for him, because he's sort of one of those players, in my opinion, that goes under the radar a little bit as to how good he actually is. Real crucial player for Notts and the style that we have. So yeah, big shame. And to be honest with you, if he has broke his arm, I think we're going to need to bring a defender in.
I feel like as good as he is himself, I feel like one of his biggest things is that he complements the rest of the team or the rest of the defense so well. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of his biggest assets is that he's not like a natural centre back.
Yeah.
He's athletic. He's very quick. Very quick. The only reason he doesn't look as quick as he is because Richardson's even quicker. But he's a very quick player to play at centre back. He can drive the ball out of defence. Yes, we've got that. But Brindley does it in different ways. I think he's going to be a big, big miss. But like Charlie says, confident in Lacey and Cameron. Lacey must be playing with confidence at the minute. Massive amounts of confidence. So, yeah, gutted about Brindley, Charlie. But George thinks we need to bring another centre back in. I kind of have to agree because Cameron was supposed to be back for Tuesday, and they basically said he's not back for Tuesday. We finished the game yesterday as a back four, right? Am I getting this right? Of Richardson right back, Rawlinson and Chicks in centre back, and Dion Kelly Evans at left back.
That's right.
That's not a good. They're very good players, like they are, and Chickson apparently put in a fantastic performance as centre back, winning headers against McCallum, who is a goal scorer at this level, and very good in the air as well. So for that's really, really, really good from Chickson. I had doubts previously in the season whether he could drop into centre back for a back four, and I probably wouldn't ever play him there in choice again from the start of the game because people would then target him. But that back four, that's as makeshift as you can get. The only other thing is having Carl Wotton at centre back, like Bertrand sort of joked at. That's as makeshift as you can get, isn't it?
Yeah. Roller having a good game as well. That was discussed a lot, mentioned in the post game as well. So, I mean, fair play, because again, we've gone a goal down. It's easy to let your heads drop, and we lost 3-0 on Tuesday. So, class from him, I think.
And for Lacey to start, and Bertrand said he was absolutely gone at half time because he had the illness. Absolutely wiped out at half time. Yeah. And it was probably always the plan to bring Lacey off. But then when you've got Brindley coming off as well, Bertrand must have thought, oh no, sort of thing. But
it just feels like that, doesn't it? It just feels like he's been really unlucky. I mean, it's easy to criticise the manager, and I know there's some people on socials saying the things you don't want to hear. But he's been so unlucky. Like the last few weeks with illness and injuries and stuff like that, and things just not falling right. And even in game, like things where the balls just drop perfectly for the opposite team when we've been dominating and things like that. I just feel like I've been so unlucky. And when the tides change a little bit, and look, I know you create your own luck, but I just feel like we're so close to it just clicking. It's frustrating, isn't it?
What I want to bring in that now then is this from Charlie. Last thing to talk about this game. Did we see the Bertrand fist bump? You know what?
I thought he was going to tear his pec.
Did you see Lampard broke his hand fist pumping the other night or something?
No.
After the Everton game, he punched something. I thought Bertrand was close to that. If he'd have connected with someone, we'd have had
what a moment though that was for Everton.
Yeah, well, we're not going to. Broke his hand doing that. But did we see Bertrand's fist bump? That's a relieved man.
Yeah,
That's a seriously relieved man. So that fist bump, he doesn't show his passion like that and do the fist bump. The fans are loving him on Twitter, and it feels like a togetherness. That one act from the manager towards the away fans after a really tough time, a week where he must have been in training, looking at training and thinking, am I managing a five-a-side team? Because there's that few players looking around and thinking, I've got no players here. I'm going to have to make my striker at centre back. He must have been so relieved, and to show that with the fans know it's been a tough week. Really, really good. Sort of gels us together. I'm massive fan of that. And I don't like managers that just walk down the tunnel every game. Come and show a little bit. He did come and clap, albeit very briefly after Stockport. It always comes to the fans. So, yeah, the Bertrand fist bump's a great moment, and I'm hoping we're seeing that again. Imagine seeing that fist bump at Wembley, George. Imagine seeing it. I think we're more than a fist bump anyway. So, yeah, interesting. Knee slide. We need to see the Doyle cartwheel, is it still?
Yeah, we're still waiting for that, aren't we?
Charlie says we haven't had a lot of luck on our side. We haven't had a lot of luck. Even the whole season, Michael Cheek, the shot coming in off his backside or whatever it was, or his hip or something at home. just things not falling for us at all, hitting the bar against Wrexham in the trophy, and they go up the run and score. I know you make your own lot, but we've not had a mass amount of it, have we?
No.
So there's a few times as well we should have had penalties where we haven't had them. So yeah, there we go. Tuesday night. Have you seen the fixtures on Tuesday night?
I haven't, but I know a lot of the top teams are playing each other, aren't they, in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we've got Notts at home to Boreham Wood, obviously. We've got Wrexham at home to Halifax, which is another big one. And we've got Grimsby against Solihull. Really interesting. Now, Charlie, I believe it's the Charlie that is currently watching along with us, has sent me something. So thanks for that, Charlie. Just before we went live. So this is for the rest of the season. We've had a torrid run of games. If we can get some good points out of the next 2 home games, we then go into I know there's a few away games, but we start to head into our favourable running. Rest of the season, not to play 2 of the top 10. That's it. And it's the next 2 games. And they're both at home. That's it. 2 of the top 10. I know Stockport doesn't matter to us, but because they're too far ahead. Stockport played the whole tops, well, apart from Notts, the whole top 8. That's how favourable our running is. So we play 2 of the top 10 at home. Grimsby have to play 6 of the top 11. You know, they're neck and neck for us to get a playoff place. 6 of the top 11. Bromley 4 of the top 10. Dagenham 6 of the top 11. We've got such a good... Boreham Wood have to play 7 of the top 10. Solihull 7 of the top 10. 5 of those away. Wrexham play 4 of the top 6. You know, this is where our running is favourable. I genuinely feel after that result yesterday, depending on what happens Tuesday, we can go for 2nd or 3rd spot. I know it's a long way off, but you look at those teams in there. Chesterfield are in one of those spots. 6 of the top 11 to play. Wrexham 4 of the top 6. For me, that 3rd spot now, with the way we play that game and Harry Arter coming in, and the fixture list we've got is doable. Yeah, Chris says Southend and Torquay away still playing for banana skins. I think if we get 1 win out of those 2, we're okay. Yeah. Torquay away, we just don't like each other, do we? And, you know, they didn't like us when bad memories. But we've got Carl Cameron. Maybe you could score a winner and celebrate. So that's the way I feel about that. Realistically, still, George, where do you feel Notts can finish?
Ooh, it's difficult. It's so difficult, you know, because on our day we're a fantastic side, aren't we? I think arguably one of the best in the league.
Let me just put this into context very quickly for you. Halifax currently sit in 3rd, and they are 9 points ahead of us. They have 2 games in hand. Chesterfield is 2nd, 9 points ahead with no games in hand. So technically, we're 9 points behind 2nd place.
Yeah. So we can
have a game in hand over Chesterfield as well.
So it's not massively out of reach, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not.
Because we play Chesterfield on next Saturday. So we can gain on them there. We've got a game in hand. If we take advantage of that game in hand, we can gain on them. So it's like, I mean, I always assume the best in every not situation, don't I? But like 2nd isn't really out of reach, is it? But realistically, I think it would be like on the last couple of games, it would be like the decider between 3rd and 4th for Notts.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. I'm just looking at the table now. We've got such a favourable run-in. It really is going to be that close. Like I say, the final day, I even think the final day could be like a possibility between 3rd and 7th. I feel like it could be that tight going into the end.
Yeah, it literally could.
It really could. And I even feel like 4th and 5th is so, even though we play the same number of games, it's so much better than 6th and 7th. Realistically, are we going to go away to, say, Solihull and win, and then away to Chesterfield and win, potentially, just to get to Wembley? Whereas you could be at home to, you know, at this point, still at home to Dagenham, and then an away game. It really does. These next 2 home games, Chris says, really does depend on them. Max says, if we lose the next 2 home games, you're still confident of top 4 finish? Lose the next 2 home games. I don't think we'll lose the next 2. I don't think we'll win the next 2. I think we might get a win and a draw.
Imagine we did, though.
If we won the next 2, definitely. If we lost the next 2, top 4 finish, I think we could still get the 5th place, which doesn't really make much of a difference. 5th or 4th, we get the home match. So, yeah. Lose the next 2, I don't know. We won't have picked up much momentum from the Dagenham win if that happens. We'll go on to the game then. Boreham Wood at home. They've stalled a little bit since Everton in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously a hard place to go for a National League side. They didn't do anything at Everton. They just sat in and tried not to let them score. Let's go for our lineup, George.
Okay.
Bearing in mind, they are now, since Everton, they've lost 4-2 to Wrexham, 1-1 with Chesterfield, lost 1-0 to Barnet, and 0-0 with Grimsby. Hi, Ian, just for joining us. Not a problem. We are very, very early. We're 7.5 hours early today, so do not worry about that. It's just good to have you with us. So they haven't got a win in 4, and they've conceded 6 in those 4 games. Still tough.
Yeah, definitely tough. It's funny because they're one of those sides that don't seem to concede many. Well, they were up until they played Wrexham anyway. So I think they're there to be got at now. Definitely, they've sort of had. I think they've overachieved thus far, massively considering that they've lost Shamanga. So I think they're there to be got at now, and I think it's quite a good time to play them. But they're on a bit of they're on a bad run. Notts have just come off the back of a bad run and got a really good win away at Dagenham. So I think it's a good time to play them. But it was also a good time to play Chesterfield. So it's good to not get too carried away.
Yeah, Ian's right. We owe Boreham Wood one. We literally gifted it them at their place. We should have won that. And at that point of the season, you're looking at it and thinking, yeah, we really should have got points there, and would potentially be hiding in the league right now, just on that one game. Yeah. But there we go. I think it's Ian. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's just joined us. That said, do we think Boreham Wood will suffer Saturday, Tuesday because they're a small squad? That's what I feel now is happening, possibly. I mean, our squad, we've seen a small squad injury hit over the last few games, and illness, and it's not gone well. Boreham Wood, I feel like they're probably struggling now, but you never know. They're a good side. They're up there for a reason, but I do feel this is a good time to play them. I really do. So we played 5 at the back and 4 at the back yesterday. Did well with both. Think about who we've got available. Are you going 4 or 5 at the back at home to Boreham Wood? A team low on confidence. I'm going to go 4 at the back.
4, yeah. Go 4.
Yaros in goal?
Yeah. I don't think... When is the under-21s? Sure, it's this week.
Is it this week? Someone let us know quickly if it's under-21s this week.
If he's available, I'd say Yaros, but if not, obviously Slocum.
Yeah, I can't remember the dates.
Could be wrong.
Yeah. So I'm sure someone will let us know in a second when those dates are. But so if it's not
Yaros
this week,
is out.
Yeah, Yaros is out. So Sam Slocum, or try and get Patterson back on loan just for 1 game, 2 games.
No need for that.
Yeah. No, but Patterson's the levels above any keeper we've had this season.
Yeah,
100%. Came back for 1 game, saved a penalty against Wrexham, and cleared off again back to Sunderland. No, so Slocum in goal. I still have confidence in Slocum, and with the injury hit defence, I have that confidence behind him. I think we'll be looking to dominate the game on Tuesday. I think it'll be a lot more even on the Saturday. I think Boreham Wood will try and really frustrate Notts, and I don't think they'll have as many chances as we possibly think. So I'll go Slocum in goal, back 4 of Richardson at right back. It's really tricky, isn't it? I think Lacey and Rawlinson at centre back.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine. And Chickson at left back. Joel Taylor's and man gone missing, hasn't he?
That's my back 4. Yeah, that's what I was going to go for.
Now what do we do? I know. I go 4-3-3.
Yeah, I'm going to say same, but I was going to say like 4-2-1-3.
Hang on. Okay, go on then.
It's pretty similar to 4-3-3, isn't it? Palmer and Arthur in front of the back 4, and then a little bit more advanced in front of that, Vincent.
Agreed.
Your front 3, obviously, Ruben, Kyle, and Wharton.
No Eli for me either.
Oh, yeah, Eli.
That's the trouble, though. How do you fit him in now? I personally wouldn't change this midfield 3. Because
no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't change midfield 3.
You've got Eli on the bench. What an impact sub. I still want him to start some games. I'd start him against Chesterfield. Look what he did against Chesterfield. They knew he was going to cut inside. He cut inside, you know. It's just like Chris says, if Roberts or Rodriguez are missing, then we don't know. We don't know if they're better. That's my team anyway. Have we gone the exact same side? I think
Sounds
we have
like it.
for the first time. For the first time ever, we've on the same side. Yeah, Chris says we cannot change the midfield. The midfield for me is absolutely like spot on. That's a frightening midfield. You've got a bit of everything. You've got the calmness of Palmer. You've got the snappiness of Arthur in there, who's going to put one in. He's going to waste time, things like that. And Troy says that we're having the main and Sam on the bench. What options? What options? You've got Sam if we want to get back in the game, if we're leading the game and it starts to open up, and if they start to push forward, you've got the man that can come on and get in behind. Really, really good. Yeah. Is there a no? I was going to say, is there an argument for starting Eli up top over Wootton, or definitely not for you? That'd be a statement.
Never say never. You know, I like Eli. I think he's class. Be more clinical than Wootton. You know that. It's just his other attributes that may let him down in terms of like comparing him to Wootton.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I did want to say, and it's going back to the Dagenham game, and someone's reminded me here in that chat, is I want us to be, one thing we didn't do at Dagenham, let's manage games better. I think Stallard said, I'd love someone to go down with cramp now. I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see Southampton in the 63rd minute of every game, the player goes down so they can regroup on the sideline. The ref can't do anything about it because the player goes down. 63rd minute of every game. Let's manage the game. At Dagenham, we were under the cosh. Look, we had a makeshift back four. We had players returning from injury, illness, and just someone go down and just break the game up. How frustrating is it at Med Lane or away from home when a team is doing that to Notts and they're just taking the time? So, and Curtis says, could be an asset having experience in the playoffs. Harry Arter, that kind of thing. He will be well on the way. He's got promotions, 2 promotions to the Premier League, is it? With Fulham and Bournemouth. He's played in the Premier League. He will know how to manage a game. And he just needs to tell the players around him. How confident does this make you feel, though, George, going into the playoffs? The passion of potentially Rawlinson and Cameron, and the tactical, the game management of Harry Arter in there as well. Those 3. That's the spine of the side.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive for me. Yeah, massive. Yaros did get a yellow for time wasting. Yeah, I agree with that, Charlie. That's a bit of cleverness, but I want to see the game completely broken up. Like a player goes down for a couple of minutes, and that's what we've missed. I don't want to see it all the time.
Yeah, I want to see a player fall down right near the touchline when he could just go off the pitch and just stay there.
One of those where players roll back on and the fans go crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy. So we'll go score predictions, then we'll go to the poll, and then we'll get your score predictions in. Or no, we're not going to do score predictions today. We're going to mix it up. We're going to say who is going to be your man of the match on Tuesday night. Who's going to get that man of the match? So we'll go for the poll first, George. Off you go.
All right then, best type of bread. Naan bread gets 27% of the vote. Tiger bread comes in clutch with 59% of the vote. Winner. 5% banana bread and 9% French stick.
Where did you go?
You tell me. Where did you go?
I went naan bread.
I went tiger bread.
You can't beat. I love them all, but you can't beat a bit of naan bread.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, no, I agree. All bread's pretty good in it, but for me, tiger bread takes it.
French stick, you know French stick when it's just on the side, and you're thinking, I can't resist taking a bit of that. If a bread is top tier like tiger bread and French stick, if you just eat it completely on its own, like you can just rip it off and eat it. That's top tier, bro. Naan bread for me, it takes it. Right, let's go for who do you think the man of the match is going to be? Get your either score predictions or man of the match in, and we'll put those on the screen on Tuesday night. We're mixing up from score prediction. Who's your man of the match going to be?
Harry Arter. I think, in terms of the way that it's picked at Notts now, it's done by the people in what's it called? Hospitality now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I feel like with him coming in, it's a big signing, big name signing really as well, isn't it? For Notts. I just feel like even if he puts like a mediocre shift in, he'll still get man of the match. So I'm going to say Arter on the premise of the scale of his signing.
I'm going Harry Arter. I think he'll be very, very good Tuesday night in front of the lights. He's not played many games. He's got that bit more match sharpness, maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10 now. Gets the opportunity to play a team. I think it's going to play into Knott's hands. If they come and want to frustrate and sit back, that will play into Knott's hands massively. And at the same time, if they want to come and if they want to be open, Callum Rubin will pick them off, I think, if they're playing. You can't really win now. That Harry Arter thing has made it very difficult for a side to. I think the only way you're going to stop them is to come and really play Notts, though. Really try and play Notts, like aggressively, like Stockport did. And for some teams, that's just not going to work. That's not going to work. So we've got our man of matches. Let's have a look what you guys think before we finish. Ian says he thinks it's going to be 2 on Notts, 1 on Reuben. That would be really good. Chris has gone 1-0 Notts, Arter man of the match. Charlie, man of the match, Wootton. 2-0 with a Wootton double. That'd be really good. 3-1 Notts, Wootton and Arter ×2. He did have a shot yesterday, but yeah. Chris says Chickson will be in with a shout for man of the match after bagging a hat trick. I'm guessing it's the time we've done, but Callum isn't here. Callum isn't here to say Chickson hat trick. So would anyone like to step in and predict a Chickson hat trick for Callum? I'm sure he'll comment later on. But if anyone wants to step in and give us a Chickson hat trick, then they're more than welcome.
Yeah,
feel free. Because I feel like, is the episode complete without that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really complete. So there are predictions for Tuesday. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Notts fans are well behind the team, and I do not think it's done any harm, that fist pump and the celebrations at the end of the Dagenham game. But we were, fractured fan base banged together after one game, had backs against the walls. We got the victory. We don't usually do that. So, it feels really good going into this playoff run now. And I'm glad we're focusing on playoffs now. We're not got that dream that was miles away of a first place finish. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident about that. If you like the game, it would be great to have a chat with you if we do spot you. We'll have the videos up after the game. And as always, if you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because it helps.